Hi, I'm here with Yvonne Anderson, and with the season she's having, it's like obvious that we need to talk again because this is like the third time that we're talking, but first time in person, so it's pretty cool. So I want to take way back here on this one, but also talk about your present and maybe your future quite a bit. And I want to start with your past. So take me back to sophomore Hoover High School in Alabama and you being the player of the year. What do you remember from that period?
I mean, you're taking it way back now. Uh, what I remember is just being happy, but being excited um, for the future with that team. I didn't know I was going to move until a little later. And so, when I was in Alabama, I played against a lot of high caliber players. I played DeWanna Bonner my freshman year. And so to have that award and be recognized as one of the standouts and to me really high competition. Obviously it was an honor. I was young. Obviously you don't appreciate it as much in the moment, but now just humbled by it really.
Yeah, and when I remember reading about it, when you had to move to Hickman High School in Missouri, you weren't particularly happy about it. So I want to ask you about the reasons behind the move and
Mm-hmm.
how did you handle the move later? Maybe let's start with the reason.
Yeah.
For the people
My
who don't
dad,
know, yeah.
who don't know, like my dad coached collegiate basketball for 40 years. He was a head coach for 21, 22. Um and so at that point he got a new head coaching job. He had been coaching in Alabama and he got one um at the University of Missouri. And I just remember I was 16. You're in that moment of your adolescence, and I only had 2 years before I was gonna go to college, and I didn't want to leave. I had friends, I had success basketball wise, I was comfortable. Um, but yeah, my parents told me pretty quickly I didn't have a choice, so uh, I wasn't happy. But I mean, everything always works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and the thing that struck me when I was reading about it was that I mean, I don't know about myself, but let's say a parent would have a 16-year-old kid talk to the newspaper and actually complain about their move. They wouldn't allow that. Yet your father must have been like really cool about it because you were allowed to tell the whole story how you didn't even want to pick the school. You just said to your mother, "Ah, pick whatever you want." Right? That's
Yeah,
what was that the story?
I mean, essentially, I mean, I was still am pretty easygoing, and I definitely didn't like to make decisions about things like that. And I was fighting it. I didn't want to move. Like I said, I was comfortable. I had family. You know, you have love somewhere, and you think, this is my home. And like I said, my parents had already made up their minds. The decision was made, so it didn't matter what I said at that point. I could have said anything. I was leaving, so obviously appreciate them being cool. They had already had two teenagers before, so they knew how that goes.
Yeah, and the fact that they just allowed you to complain like publicly because usually
Mm-hmm.
you like to keep stuff in the family, but they're like cool with it and they really like thought that my parents would never allow that. They would be like, don't talk to anybody. But you were really open, so that was really cool that they allowed you to do that. Okay, and you
Yeah.
joined, yeah. And how did you handle the move? Meaning, what were your first days there?
I got lucky because I had a cousin who's also one of my best friends, and he moved along with me. So he was living in Arkansas, and he came, and his mom, they came and lived with us in Missouri, and so it helped that I already had someone there. Um, and then it's almost like when your parents put you in like play dates. My mom had picked the school, so she had met some of the students before, and she had asked one to kind of like hang out with me and my cousin. And so we kind of met up with her, just played basketball, and we turned into best friends. She's one of my best friends to this day. She actually lives in DC and calls me all the time. She's a coaching high school boys basketball now. So yeah,
Ooh.
it's just, and I met her within a week of moving, and yeah, we just been locked in since then.
Yeah, and the thing that was most striking from a basketball standpoint is that you join a program which wasn't really good. And you guys, after losing the season opener, you've won 30 games in a row, if I remember correctly, something like that.
Yeah,
And then you almost win the state championship. So
yeah.
why do you think that the transformation happened?
Um, I think you have teams that maybe are sitting on a line and they just need something to push them a little bit. And I was coming from, like I said, what I thought high level high school basketball in the basketball in Missouri wasn't as strong at the time. You know, you'd find a few players, but it to me it wasn't the same level. And so I just kind of not even the cherry on top, but just like something special that you didn't know would help that much. And I think the players were there, the attitudes and the character of those players to allow me to come in and kind of welcome me in. That's the main thing because you need camaraderie, especially at that age. You need friends. You know, for me, it's not like the kids now who just switch schools all the time. Like you build these bonds, and that's important to playing in. They believed in me, I believed into them, and we almost did something special. You know, I don't regret. I don't believe in regrets, but if I did, that's one of my basketball regrets. Not getting that state championship for those girls, for my teammates. You know.
Yeah. And also, one thing that was striking is that one particular player on your team said after that opening loss, let's not lose any more games this season. And that was you, right?
It was,
And
yeah.
yeah, that was what happened. And the team followed your lead in a sense. And I want to ask you about taking on a leadership role despite being a new kid in school, because it's one thing to join a new team as a pro, and it's
Mhm.
one thing to, handle like life in school, the everyday activities. So, how did you achieve that?
I think one of the benefits of being a coach's kid for sure. But like I said, it's really on your teammates on what they allow, you know, and how they respond. And for me, I think we all have the same goal. Like I think we actually can be pretty good. Let's just go play like that and try and win everything. And I guess we spoken into the atmosphere, and you know we almost got it done. Um, but it just speaks to those girls and just what we created that I was able to come and be like one of those players. Because in
Hmm.
terms of like being the captain and rules and stuff, I'm not big on all of that. But in terms of on the floor, like you know, if you're open to leadership, then definitely I'll lead the way.
Yeah, and also the cool thing about you, and this might turn into, I don't know, like a puff piece, but in like an interview form. But one of the cool things that I found about you is that I found interesting about you, and it still perseveres, as we talked earlier as well, is that when your team loses, you are the one who makes the statement openly, like to the press, and I'm assuming to your teammates as well, that you say,
Mm-hmm.
I need to do better. It was me who like failed you. Maybe fail is too big of a word, but you know what I mean, right?
Yep.
Where does that come from? Does that come also from the fact that you're a coach's kid and it just takes the pressure off your teammates? Or do you like really feel that you were responsible for a particular loss?
I think it's both, right? Being the coach's kid is knowing like someone has to be leader, someone has to take ownership. And the worst thing a team can do is fall apart. Everyone falls separate. Oh, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. The truth is it's your leader's fault. And on that floor, as your point guard, most of the time I'm point guard. Sometimes these years I'm twos. It's mine. And all the mistakes, the small things. When leadership is proper, people follow that. And I had one of my coaches tell me, and people laugh at this one because a lot of people tell me too, Yvonne, you can't. It's not always your fault. And I don't take losses to heart. It just makes me want to work harder. But I had a coach tell me, as a point guard, it's always your fault. Your teammate doesn't catch the ball, it's your fault. They don't play defense, it's your fault. Why I set the tone, they follow me. And that's another big thing that I've kind of had when I've been in Serbia, you know, just within the generational change, also like they follow me. I have this role, but they follow me. They trust me. And so it's my job to lead. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but it's how. So if we don't do it the right way, for sure that's on me. And that's okay. I can take it.
Okay, like I mean, somebody needs to take the burden, and if you're like okay with it, right? That's totally
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Even if
the
that's
idea
not the
is
case,
leadership,
right?
right?
So yeah.
It starts at the head. Like people don't like
Hmm.
to people blame coaches, people do this, people blame these players. In the truth, it's leadership. And everything
Hmm.
follows after that.
Yeah. One more, were two things about your high school
Mhm.
experience. One is the Hickman Rockbridge game, which was
Yeah.
suspended because of a leaky roof.
Uh,
Uh, do you remember who was the first person who slipped on the floor?
it was definitely me.
Yeah,
I just was
like
confused. I slipped and I was confused. I was looking around, and maybe a couple seconds later, we had players actually fall. And then once they realized what was happening, it's like catastrophe. It was to think about it now, it's really funny, but like the way these schools are now, like I don't know if they have these types of problems that we had.
yeah. So can you tell me more about it? Were the facilities really that bad, or was it a particularly rainy day or a couple of rainy days? What happened?
So
Do
what
you
happened
remember?
is like I do remember the it wasn't that the facilities were that bad. It's
Hmm.
that they were a little older. It was definitely time for renovation, or at
Okay.
least now they have a completely new gym, a nice gym, from what I've heard. I haven't been there, but we had a big snow. And when it melted, because, old roof, it just leaked.
Flat, probably, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
you're talking, you need funding. And our school wasn't necessarily the most funded school in the city. So that leak, that put us out of commission for a while. I think they had to raise some money to kind of just patch it. Um, those were the days. The little bit of the grind the stories you tell, like it wasn't all these nice training facilities and nice gyms. Like we had a leak. It was rough.
Yeah. And a lot of players have these stories now when it comes to playing in Europe and let's say developing leagues, right? That's like the team isn't paying them or the facilities are bad or they didn't have like a room rented for them. So it connects more with the pro game and playing
Yes.
overseas. So it's interesting to learn that things were happening in the States that aren't happening now, but
Yeah,
it's like shows you the level of commitment of like the country to the sport, I guess, and to
exactly. It's a
education.
mix of. I would say it's a mix of like we always talk about investment. Now this is older topic, but
Yeah.
investment in sport in the United States definitely has that. But then you get into education system and public schools. Depending on the area, they'll get the brunt of that. And that at that time, that's what it was. That's all that was.
Yeah. And after only playing there for 2 years, you still made the state's all-decade first team, according to the Columbia Daily Tribune, at
Mhm.
least. And after almost 20 years, are you happy with the results of the move? Are you happy that you actually got to play there, or would you still prefer to stay?
No, I think in terms of my life development, it was perfect for me to move. As a kid, you don't want to move. You don't want to leave your friends. I had already moved before, so I just to move three times, in my childhood, it was a big thing for me. But I made lasting friendships there. I made relationships that I'll have for the rest of my life. Memories that I'll always remember, and I would never take that time back. Like, of course, we love the accolades, but I was always gonna. What I'm doing now, I was meant to do. I was gonna be a basketball player wherever I went. I was gonna work as hard as I could. It just happened to be there, and so I would say I'm more happy. Like, I'm happy for all the experience, but yeah, I mean, it definitely worked out.
Mhm. Yeah. And then you joined Texas and coach, I'm going to botch this name, Gostenkors?
Guest, of course, yeah, German.
Gestenkors. Okay,
Hmm.
okay. Uh, and I want to ask how she recruited you to Texas.
I think
Was
she
it
was one of
AAU or was it high school?
no, definitely AAU. And now
Okay.
they have completely different basketball system. But during our time, AAU was still getting big. Like it was growing. We had AAU, we had Nike. They have much more competitive leagues now. But they don't really pay attention to high school basketball, especially like public high school. So if they come to that, they're just coming to support you at that point. So they watched me over this summer, and it was more difficult because I kept moving. So I was playing for different teams. So one minute I'm a team on Alabama, next minute I finished. I was playing with the team in Indiana while I was living in Missouri. So I remember the assistant coach at Texas at that time. She was like, "We didn't know where you were." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I have a family." So,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, so they followed my AAU career, and from there they send letters and they talk to your high school coach. Of course, want to make sure your grades and everything are on par. Um, but really, the best way to recruit me, it was a little bit of connection with me. It was a lot about talking to my parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what influence did she have on your play, meaning coach, Gaston course? From one point, like she was a former point guard as well.
Mhm.
Uh, because one thing that I noticed in her describing you and you making some statements in your earlier years at Texas was that you were passing up good scoring opportunities and looking for great scoring opportunities. So is she responsible for you becoming a better or more confident shooter? Is that like one thing that she is responsible for?
I wouldn't necessarily say that part. I would say
Okay.
she definitely prepared me to be a professional, though, in dealing with all types of coaching. Um, I think confidence is a weird thing. A coach can tell you so many times shoot, but they have 12 kids, all they recruited, all ranked, and they all have their strengths. And I think I just had to grow more. And for some reason, mine happened to be after college. Um, but with her, I learned leadership skills, I would say, and I just learned to be a professional, like just to be able to adjust to every situation, and still be able to be successful. I would say that for sure.
Okay. Okay. So now let's take a huge leap in time. The year
Yes.
is 2022. And
Mhm.
when did the Connecticut Sun reach out to you for the first time?
I don't know the exact date, but I know it was during the second season when I was in Venice at playing for Rayer, and I was having a solid individual season. Our team, we had started EuroLeague, so it was my first EuroLeague time. At this point, I've had my Serbian passport now, so people know me from that. I think, yeah, coming off Olympics, coming off Eurobasket, and so they reached out to me early 2022, like in January, and just called and talked. Would you be interested? It's training camp, but we're serious about you, type thing, because I had been to a training camp before and it didn't work out. And, with the responsibilities I have now for national team, uh, you really have to see if it's worth it. So yeah, they just reached out. I knew of the success that they had and somewhat of the style and figured it'd be, a good shot to try. Hmm.
Yeah, and some teams are like reluctant to take on a player who has like during Eurobasket, always teams assess whether it's worth like a shot, right? And worth
Exactly.
the development. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And were other WNBA teams in touch with you apart because you already said that prior to that, but later, did any WNBA team reach out to
We
you?
definitely had, my agents had them contact. I've had been in contact with a few, and I think after the experience in Connecticut that year, that was the World Cup year, and
Hmm.
it felt like I just played basketball like around the clock, and the WNBA players, they always say they play year round. It's true, but nothing's like Serbia. Nothing can touch what you go through in Serbia. So I think at some point I made, I would say the next 2 years, I made Serbia my priority. You know, Getting to this last Olympics in Paris was a huge goal for me. Like after Tokyo, it was Paris. That's all I wanted to see. So um, yeah. I mean, I just chose my national team for sure. Um, Now we'll see what happens, but definitely, I think it cleared. It helped me kind of play freer because my mind was clear. I didn't have to worry about, oh, I got to go here. I have to travel here. I need to talk to Marina. It was like, no, this is my priority. So these are my dates. These are when I'm going to be home. Here's when I'm going to be in Serbia, and this is what I'm playing for. And so it simplified things. It helped. It helped me stay focused.
Yeah, some people say that if you won't be able to like let go of things, you won't be able to catch anything. So you need to let go in order to catch something. So that was probably what happened in your case, right? And I need to
Definitely.
ask you one more thing about the previous season before we will move to this season.
Hmm.
So winning the EuroLeague,
Hmm.
how was that like?
Pretty awesome. Pretty amazing. We just had such a good group of players, like character wise, and like we really liked each other. Real life friends. I miss them. I'm playing with one of them here, of course,
Hmm.
Taj. But whenever I see my girls at Finner, I hug all of them. I hug the coaches. I hug the staff. Like I know everybody, and we just had such like a beautiful year. We did a really beautiful thing together, and
With the coaching change before just before the season, the
yeah, it was
coaching change
crazy.
just before
It
the
was
season. Yeah,
was
that was
very
incredible.
crazy.
And you still
'Cause
made
I
it.
really I go in thinking I'm gonna play for my coach, and we
Yeah.
get a new coach, and we just the group we had. It wasn't the most flashy group. The names we had names, but compared to the names they have this year, it wasn't like that. And
Hmm.
so for us to really just play beautiful basketball together, I think it was amazing to be a part of. And like I'm super grateful to play with those girls and to have been able to achieve that. Because not a lot of people do that. Like, and if I really sit back and like I said, I have to take myself out and look at things, that's my third year in EuroLeague.
Hmm.
So that's amazing. It's an amazing achievement and like super grateful, super humbled by it. Um, yeah, I love those girls.
Yeah, and you guys are right now one of two teams that remain unbeaten. So it's really interesting that you have two Turkish teams and they're both unbeaten in the competition. And
Hmm.
probably, I mean, from the way it's looking now, it's probably be you and Fenner in the final, unless something, I know,
Uh,
crazy happens. But
with
it probably will be that way. So how did Mersin reach out to you and what made you decide on joining them?
they reached out pretty much as soon as the season ended. Um, and of course, they had kind of done the math. We had all kind of done the math that once Finner signed Gabby Williams, there was a good chance I wasn't going to be at Finner because she's a
Hmm.
naturalized player, and they're going to use that. So, but I'm a naturalized player, and so if they took me, they take me as an American. And we just knew like it would there'd be a chance, but a small chance. Mercy knew this too. They also know how much I love Turkey, and that also I want to compete at the highest level. And to do that, you really have to invest. You have to invest on these players. Um, and I mean, he did a good job of selling it. Like I took my time making the decision because I didn't feel like I need to be rushed at this point. I feel like I've earned the right to kind of breathe and choose what's best for me going forward. And but the draw to come back to Turkey is always there. I really love this country. I love this culture. So it's always hard to turn it down.
Yeah, yeah. And I know it wasn't a factor in your decision, and it never should be, but those jerseys, like the black jerseys that you guys have, are so beautiful. It's incredible how beautiful
We
they are.
didn't know. We came and then we found out we were sponsored by New Balance. We had no clue. And I
Hmm.
didn't know that they had changed colors because the years before
Yeah, they
it was
changed colors as well. Yeah.
navy orange, and they went black orange this year. It's so sleek. I do appreciate like
Yeah, they're so beautiful.
well, thank
Yeah.
you.
So you're shooting in the EuroLeague, 55% from the floor, 53% from free. I want to ask whether it's just the shot selection, whether it's practice, or whether it's both.
Um, I would say it's a mix because I used to be the type of player to shoot their arm out. We call it shooting the arm, where you're shooting like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shots.
Hmm.
And at the same time, like when you're playing, and right now I'm playing a lot of minutes, it's impossible for you to do that. you have to rest. And what it came down to is back to that word confidence and trust. I've been playing the game a long time. Like I can shoot. So whenever I relax, focus on that, shooting's a lot easier. And
Okay.
it would seem like you would want a more basketball answer when the truth is it's a mental answer. I really just relaxed and I said it. This is what they give me. This is what my team needs. I'm gonna do my best to make them. You know.
Yeah. And I want to also ask you about playing with Natasha Howard again. How does it feel? And the season that she's having, like no disrespect to you, but even better, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the stats that she gets, like it's like 2014, I don't know, 30 and I don't know, like did she have like 20 rebounds in one game or am I think she had like some crazy number.
Something
Uh
close. Sure.
I think she was close
No,
to, yeah,
no.
so
Tosh, she's tough, and I'm sure she wouldn't admit to this, but you could kind of take last year a little personal, and want to come back a little bit with a vengeance. Um, we won EuroLeague. She played for most of it, and then at the end we brought
mhm.
feedback. So she wasn't able to, but she's super talented. No one's ever questioned her talent, and no one's questioned that she wants to win. It's getting her the right opportunities, getting her in the right spaces, and on this team, like she's going to be one of our focal players. And she just same thing. She's confident. She has the space. We make sure she can do what she needs to, and then she knows when she needs us, we're there too. So playing point guard, easy for me, right? It's an easy assist, and I'll take it every time.
Yeah, and you guys are like the ageless wonders of that team. And I'm just impressed with the way you guys stay in shape and you play big minutes, as you said. You play big minutes, she plays big minutes as well. How do you guys take care of your bodies?
I think
What's the
it's the same
process like?
balance.
Okay.
It's it's rest. It's a lot of rest with these minutes, and we're not the neither of us are gonna sit here and lie and tell you we're super diet focused or driven, but there is a balance. We're not eating crazy. We're not eating McDonald's every day. Like you learn what your body needs to play at its peak, and you stick with that. You hydrate, you rest, you don't overdo it. Like we want to play well, we want to feel good, but also like such a balance and being happy. So
Okay.
just making sure like everything's balanced and that you're resting because long minutes are long minutes.
Okay. I was thinking that you're gonna say like it's the Mediterranean diet and just, fresh
No,
vegetables and olives
turkey,
and
not in Turkey. Turkey's is not the same like a Greek Mediterranean
yeah, it's pretty
diet.
heavy.
Turkish
Yeah,
food
yeah, yeah.
is a little heavier but delicious. But we don't eat it all the time. So like I said, it's always about balance. That's the key.
Sure. And your expectations for the season now with the season you guys are having,
I
did
mean,
they?
we definitely have goals.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have goals. We'll see if we can reach them. We want to compete to win EuroLeague. I think that's obviously the goal every year. We have some work to do in Turkish League, but that's also a goal. We still have Turkish Cup. It's at the end of the season, so there are a lot of cups up for grab, and we don't think we've hit our potential yet. We haven't reached it. I don't think we're close. I think you've seen a lot of our talent, individual talent, but as a unit, I think we have space to get better. And just hoping that we get a little bit of stability here and we can make that happen because I I believe in this team. So I'm hoping we can do something special.
Yeah, and the fact that you guys added Bridget Carlton also shows like the commitment to winning now, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
she's such an awesome player, such a great scorer.
Hmm.
So that's probably also. What are your experience so far playing with her?
Good. She's a low key awesome defender. Like I already knew. I've watched her in the W, so I know these things. But to see her like guard guards, guard post, go rebound is undervalued things for most because you don't get stats from them,
Yeah.
right? But it's so helpful on especially like good teams where we have a toss, we have a scorer, but we need defenders, we need rebounders, we need people who can fight because teams are gonna they're gonna push, they're gonna in the moment that you kind of can't take the pressure, you have problems. It's that she's smart, so high IQ. She's high character, which is good on this team. This is also another high character team, and these things just don't really happen when you bring this many foreigners and all of them are like good people and mesh well with the domestic players, and that's what we have right now. So that was an amazing ad for us. I'm grateful she came. Um, I'm grateful she came, and
Okay.
so we can't wait to play more and just continue getting used to playing with her.
Yeah, and looking forward to see you guys play more together, hopefully until the end of the competition. Um, I mean, with the season you're having, it's like very possible. And the last question I have for you is what future holds for you personally, Yvonne Anderson? Like, because the way you take, maybe not take care, I mean, you do take care of your body, but the way you're playing at this level, it seems sustainable for, I don't know, 4, 5 years. Is it the plan to just be?
That's definitely, I would say that's not the plan, but do I feel like I could? I've been very fortunate and blessed, if you will, to be healthy. And that's the key, right? I've been healthy for 34 years. So that means 30 years of basketball and nothing major. And you don't see that anymore. And the goal has always been play until I'm if I'm ever the player I don't think I am, or if I'm ever not the player I think I am. If
I
my
know
first
what you
step's
mean.
not there, if
Hmm.
my first step's not there anymore, if my defense isn't there anymore, if my speed's not there anymore, even if I could drag it out, I don't want to play at any less of a level than I am right now. So when it's not that, then okay, it's time. And I have a lot of like comfort in knowing that, that you can't take you can't trick time. you know,
Hmm.
You're not LeBron. I'm not LeBron. I don't plan on playing till 40, but I would say I'm enjoying playing basketball so much. I enjoy playing and making these relationships with my teammates and the staffs and being in these different countries. And I don't know. I'm fortunate and grateful for the whole experience. Who knows how much longer? I've heard people say LA, LA 28, and I'm like, please no, please no. But like, it's awesome that people believe in me that way too. You know.
Okay. So, what are your plans for life after basketball? Do you have any? Do you make any? Or you're just in the
No,
moment? Okay.
really in the moment, trying to, I would say, give myself the cushion so when it's done, like I don't have to rush into something, but also trying to find things I really enjoy outside of basketball. Like you want to, whatever's next, you want to still be able to find joy in it, find peace in it. And so I think that's the key, like using, not just being a basketball player, but kind of being a human, like a full adult and experiencing life. And from there, I'll figure out what's next.
Okay. With your family ties and your relationship with Coach Marina, I just need to ask it. Coaching, is it out of the question
It's
at
not,
this
I would say
moment?
it's not out of the question. I'll say that. I'll
Okay.
say most people would say that easily, right? That's an easy
Hmm.
next step, but I'll see where my head's at once I finish and kind of go from there. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much for finding the time uh, today. And well, I hope that we will get to see you guys play and match together up until the end of the competition in the EuroLeague. So
No, I definitely hope so too. And
yeah,
thank you. I really enjoyed this. It's really cool.